Hi there. So in this video, we are going to design YouTube view counter. And this is a system design problem. So let's think about how we would go about designing this YouTube video counter in a very simplistic way. So the way I would do it is basically we would have a server in between and the client connects to the server and it is serving the YouTube video, and then it also increments the count in the database where you have the YouTube video ID for that corresponding YouTube video, and then you have the view count, so it updates the view count. Now the issues with this type of simplistic design is that there will be overload on the server. What if the peak traffic is 50,000 users per second? Your server won't be able to handle that. So the way we do that is we introduce the load balancer, and then we have multiple servers serving the request, and these multiple servers are then trying to update the database where you have the YouTube ID and the view count. Now, a couple of issues with this approach is that you will have multiple connections to the database layer. That means there are multiple clients who are trying to update the database at the same time. So you would have to have some locking mechanism in place, and locks, as we know, are expensive. So what we could do is we could distribute the work and then have each of the servers create a log and write some entries in the log, and then have a consolidator consolidate these logs and write those entries into the database. So what are these logs? These logs are basically something which would have, so each time a user connects to the server asking for a video, you put in the YouTube ID of the video and the user ID of the video and the user ID of the user in the log, and you could keep an in-memory log for these servers. Now what would a consolidator do is it would basically play all these logs on different servers, and then it would increment the view counts in the database. Now, what are the issues with this approach is that the consolidator itself is the bottleneck for the system. What if it goes down while it is trying to update the database and trying to run the logs? And the other thing is, what if your server fails? What happens to the logs then? So a couple of things that we could do is we could have the logs, and we can, instead of keeping it in memory, we could have it on a persistent storage, for example, maybe on Redis, and have in-memory lists for those logs. And for the consolidator failure, we could have a checkpoint mechanism where you could store the consolidator state to recover from such failures. So this is a brief overview of how you would go about designing YouTube view counter. So hopefully this gives you a couple of ideas about where you can start and what all is needed for designing such a system. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you.